Well, welcome to the 700 Club, and thanks for joining us. Well, the coronavirus is back again with a new strain, and it's prompting travel bans, border closing. The OMICRON variant emerged from South Africa, and scientists are concerned it could be highly transmissible.
There are very few cases of Omicron, and researchers know very little about it. So are world leaders overreacting? Dale Hurd has the latest.
The World Health Organization calls Omicron a variant of concern, but admits more needs to be learned about it. Initial reports describe it as having very mild symptoms. But the virus may also be highly transmissible. 2 new cases have just been confirmed in Canada, the first known to have reached North America.
It does appear, again, very preliminary evidence that it is more transmissible. We don't know for sure. We really have no data on severity, whether it's as severe, light, milder, or more significant.
The United States has decided to ban travelers from South Africa and 7 other countries in the region. Israel has closed its borders to non-citizens for 2 weeks and has authorized cell phone surveillance of anyone confirmed to be carrying the variant. Japan also closed its borders to foreign visitors. But the head of the South African Medical Association, Dr. Angelique Coetzee, said Western nations are panicking unnecessarily.
This body aches and pain with a bit of a headache. Not really a sore throat, more a scratchy type of description, and no cough and no loss of smell or taste. And that is what we call mild symptoms.
South Africa's health minister slammed what he called the draconian travel bans.
The reaction of some of countries in terms of imposing travel bans and such measures are completely against the norms and standards as guided by the World Health Organization.
The World Health Organization has called for international borders to remain open. Former FDA Commissioner and Pfizer board member Dr. Scott Gottlieb told CBS that yes, Omicron seems to be highly transmissible, but world leaders shouldn't have panicked, and their actions may discourage other nations from reporting new variants.
It has a lot of mutations that we know correlate with escape from immunity that's conferred by prior infection or by the vaccines. But we didn't need to close off travel, and unfortunately, we're punishing South Africa for doing the right thing.
Health officials say more data is needed to determine if vaccines are effective against the Omicron variant, which is most likely already in the United States, although so far no cases have been reported. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, unless you're going to ban all travel, a travel ban for particular countries isn't going to work because people get to go to another country, and then from that other country, they get to transmit the virus. We've already seen that. It's already in Canada, so it's just a matter of time before it gets here. And now the issue is, how severe is it? How severe are the symptoms? How transmissible is it? And then how quickly can Pfizer and Moderna come up with a new vaccination? They're already talking about 120 days, 100 days, 90 days. There are a lot of different time frames being bandied about. They need a variety of that virus in order to effectively come up with a vaccine. But in the meantime, we get to have the scare, and is there going to be yet another wave of contagion? Are we going to be into more lockdowns and mandatory masks and all of the other things associated with it? And this goes along with what the CDC said months ago, and this is all the way back. If you can imagine a time where we didn't have COVID all around us, they predicted that there were going to be waves of contagion. And the reason is it's a novel virus, and it's a coronavirus. And so coronaviruses are notorious for mutation. And because it's a brand new virus that human beings haven't seen before, we don't have a natural immunity to it. And so you're going to see viral blooms and waves of contagion. So this was predicted by the CDC. Now the issue is, how do we react? And do we initially overreact? I would say yes. When the stock market sells off by 900 points in one day, and a half day of trading at that could be an overreaction. How are we going to deal with it going forward? Well, we're going to trust in the vaccination process, and can that work? And can we trust in our natural immunity? Can we do our best to stay away from infection and any kind of source of infection? The answer is yes, we can do all of these things. And at the same time, realize coming together is the way forward. How do we have agreement? This virus seems to be dividing us, and it seems to be becoming quite a political issue as opposed to a medical issue. Well, in other news, the holiday season marks a new kind of crime hitting America's cities. John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That is right, Gordon. The smash and grab attacks targeted stores on Black Friday and over the weekend. Flash mobs overwhelmed workers rushing in and looting stores. California police reported a rash of similar robberies, including tens of thousands of dollars in merchandise stolen from a Nordstrom department store. In one incident, the mob reportedly used a chemical agent against a store employee. Chicago media report at least 4 smash and grab robberies and 2 Best Buys were hit in Minnesota. Retailers are working with lawmakers to make it harder to resell stolen goods online. Well, today is Cyber Monday, and retailers are anticipating record online sales. Americans expected to spend up to $11.3 billion on the web, despite concerns of supply chain issues holding up deliveries. For the first time ever, online shopping decreased on Black Friday as more shoppers returned to stores. Retail Next, a company that tracks shoppers, reports foot traffic was up 61% over last year, but down 27% from 2019. Well, online freedom of speech is at the heart of heated opposition to President Biden's pick to head the Federal Communications Commission. As CBN senior Washington correspondent Tara Mergener reports, Republicans say the nominee wants to silence conservative voices.
The White House calls Gigi Sohn a leading advocate for open and affordable communications networks that promote democracy. Conservative opposition, however, may delay acting on the nomination and keep the panel from having a Democrat majority. While the White House states Gigi has worked to defend and preserve the fundamental competition and innovation policies that have made broadband internet access more ubiquitous, competitive, affordable, open, and protective of user privacy, critics call President Biden's FCC nomination his most dangerous yet.
Her name is Gigi Sohn. How petrified should every American be about her nomination?
The FCC wields extensive authority over broadband providers, wireless companies, and broadcasters. Sohn, a communications attorney, is one of 2 progressive picks for the agency and a longtime supporter of net neutrality.
96% of residential high-speed broadband internet lines in this country are owned either by a cable company or a telephone company.
She previously served under Barack Obama as an architect of the Commission's 2015 net neutrality order, gutted by a Republican-led FCC 2 years later.
Now, everybody likes net neutrality, but what they don't like is the FCC's ability to be a referee on the field and make sure that networks are fast, fair, and open.
She's also hinted at deploying the agency's regulatory power to censor conservative media and revive a version of its mooted fairness doctrine. Republicans, including Senator Lindsey Graham, blasting the nomination on Twitter. GOP critics also point to numerous statements they say are red flags she'll censor conservative media, including this one. For all my concerns about Facebook, I believe that Fox News has had the most negative impact on our democracy. It's state-sponsored propaganda, with few, if any, opposing viewpoints. And after Tribune Broadcasting abandoned its merger with right-leaning Sinclair Broadcast Group in 2018, she said, "Today is a good day for every American who believes that diversity of voices in the media is better for our democracy, and that the FCC should look at whether Sinclair is qualified to be a broadcast licensee at all."
She will go after the licenses of Fox News, of Sinclair, of anybody who disagrees with the Biden administration. Jerusalem.
Currently, the FCC is deadlocked in a partisan 2-2 tie, rendering it politically hamstrung. Sohn's nomination comes alongside that of FCC acting chair Jessica Rosenworcel. Their confirmations would help President Biden spend billions to expand high-speed broadband in his infrastructure package. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Thank you, Tara. Well, staying right here in Washington, an important moment at the White House last night as American Jews celebrated Hanukkah by lighting the national menorah on the first night of the 8-day celebration. Second Gentleman Douglas Emhoff, Vice President Kamala Harris's Jewish husband, was on hand for the lighting ceremony. Well, in Israel, archaeologists claim new discoveries back up the key event behind Hanukkah celebrations. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell reports on the historical evidence of a Jewish victory over Greek rulers.
More than 2,000 years ago, this hilltop fortress with its commanding view was supposed to protect the city of MENORAH, ruled by the Greeks, from a legendary Jewish revolt. But it didn't work. In the Lachish forest, archaeologists say they have evidence of the Hasmonean Jewish victory over the Seleucid Greek rulers, despite Seleucid attempts to fortify and protect this encampment against attacks.
What we discovered here actually connects with the story of Hanukkah and the Hasmonean revolt against the Greeks.
The excavation revealed a well-fortified 50-foot by 50-foot building that had been destroyed. Excavation director Aki Noah Montague says they uncovered the walls of the structure, which were nearly 10 feet wide and sloped to prevent invaders from scaling the wall.
We also uncovered the destruction layer, which in it we found hundreds of artifacts, including pottery and coins and weapons, which we dated back to the 2nd century BC. We believe that the destruction was done by the Hasmoneans as part of their conquest of Edomea in 112 BC.
The structure was about 16 feet tall, with 7 rooms and a stairwell leading to a second floor.
The destruction layer was about ½ a meter, and here we have the wood blocks from the roof. We believed that the roof collapsed, and on the roof, the rest of the walls in the building. During the excavations, we took out hundreds of stones until we reached the destruction layer.
The Hasmonean Jews were descendants of the legendary Maccabee family that rose up against the idol-worshipping Greek Seleucid rulers of the day. After the revolt, they cleansed the Jewish temple in Jerusalem, and thus the holiday of Hanukkah was born. According to the story, they found enough oil to burn in the menorah for 1 day, but miraculously, it burned for 8 days. Here, some 40 miles from the Temple Mount, the Hasmoneans were also victorious.
We know the story is the Jews against the Greeks, and this is just the proof of that happening.
The site was full of treasures.
These are some of the artifacts we found. All these small jugs were used to hold mainly expensive materials, such as oils or perfumes. Today, we excavated this bronze pin, which was used to hold up the piece of clothing they were wearing at the time.
High school students helping in the excavation are also learning important skills and connecting with their past as part of a program called Eretz Israel, or Land of Israel Studies.
They arrive the first day, they have no idea what they're doing, and after a few days they come in and tell me what they found, and they can explain to me everything. So seeing them actually learn through the process of digging and touching the history and making history by digging the site.
They were touched by their experience.
From reading it in the book, it's make it like alive. We see it in our eyes, we touch it. It's not something we heard in the school. It's a true story that we touch for real.
We're really digging up the history that we're living it now and celebrating Hanukkah now.
While this area will eventually be open for the public, experts say the most exciting part is how the excavation breathes life into history from 2,000 years ago. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Bringing history to life. Thank you, Chris. Well, families in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia got a real treat last night. The grand illumination at the Founders Inn. With the flick of a switch, thousands of lights brightened the night sky, and it kicked off the Christmas season on the CBN and Region campus. Ashley Key has some of this year's highlights.
I don't know about you, but I love the Christmas season, spending time with family and friends and all of the fun activities. And I especially love the festivities at the Founders Inn Grand Illumination. Right away, I knew that Grand Illumination 2021 would not disappoint. Seeing the excitement of all the kids and the families that are here. And let's take a look at this Christmas tree. I mean, it's going from the ceiling to the sky. And that makes me wonder, Did you guys help decorate this tree? I mean, you're so tall.
Well, that tree is a little bigger than we are even.
That's true, that's true. It's so fun.
No place to go. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
The sound of carolers and the clip-clop of horse-drawn carriages beckon to all. Come aboard, be transported back in time.
There's even a place where kids can go wild with paint, at least on their faces.
Everyone was captivated by the aerial artistry of trapeze performers without even going to the circus. Later, the children settled down to hear the Christmas story, read by Terry Mewson.
Angel to the town of Nazareth to Galilee.
Then off to the grand finale.
Are you ready for the lights? Okay, here we go. You ready?
3, 2, 1.
For the dazzling grand illumination, 100,000 twinkling lights that turned the CBN campus into a winter wonderland. The CBN and Founders Inn families wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas.
Just beautiful. Gordon, looks like the Christmas spirit hit the CBN campus.
Well, we do like to celebrate Christmas around here, and looking at that Christmas tree at Founders Inn, that was a work of art my mother put together. She picked all of those angels to go around it. There are a lot of activities for you to enjoy at Founders Inn on the CBN campus. All you have to do is go to our website, and if you want to be part of a teddy bear tea, breakfast with Santa, that'd be nice, holiday brunch, we've got a whole lot more. And then we have all the lights. The whole campus is lit up, CBN and Regent campus, and you can get a carriage ride around if you want. So for more information, all you have to do is go to cbn.com, and Terry was there. She read the Christmas story.
It was a remarkable night, really. I mean, it's so beautiful. You know, the campus is already beautiful, but at night you don't really see all of that. And when you hit that button and those lights come on, I mean, the cheer rises from the crowd, and the whole place is magical. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And you're coming back tonight.
I'm coming for a carriage ride.
All right.